Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dan Blanchard with the Traveling Time with Dan show. We'll remix travel with history, with leadership, and of course with me, Dan Blanchard. Today I am in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Monument. Yes, this is a big one, right? Washington's the man here in Washington, D.C. Now this monument, one of the most recognized symbols in America, the crazy thing is that this took decades to build. There were decades of political strife, financial ruin, the divided nation took forever to build. And you gotta remember who George Washington is, right? I mean, even with George Washington, this thing took a long time to build. I mean, George Washington, he was compared to Cincinnatus, the farmer general, right? There's no higher ideals than the man who just gives back power and goes back to farming, right? I mean, this is General Washington, right? The Revolutionary War hero, right? One who founded our country. Who came back, like whatever it was, 11 years later, for the Constitution to form the new government, become our first president, the one only elected in unison. Everybody pretty much voted for him. Right? And it's like the only time this has really ever happened. I mean, this is the guy. And this thing took forever to build. I mean, he's universally admired, right? But even though he's universally admired, I mean, this monument needed a lot of time to build it, a lot of money to build it, and they had to somehow get political agreement, which is not an easy thing to do. They're going to pick this guy, Robert Mills, to build this. And I got to tell you, he's going to have a much grander vision than what we're seeing right here, right? He's going to have like this Greek-style colonnade he wants to build. He wants to build like a temple at the base, this monster pyramid. And this is just not going to happen, as you can see, right? Because the Washington National Monument Society that's helping to get this thing going, they're going to come to him in 1848 and they're going to say, listen, we just don't have the funds to do this, right? We don't have the finances to do this. You're just going to have to build a plain obelisk is what you're going to have to build, all right? And that's what went forward. And that's what did go forward. And you can kind of see the bottom of the obelisk, the Washington Monument. It's a darker brown than the top 2/3 of it, right? That's about the 152 mark. It's going to happen. A bunch of things are going to happen here. But the know-nothings, the American Party called the know-nothings, they're going to pretty much have like a hostile takeover of the Washington National Monument Society. And then when they're running it, they're going to mismanage it. A lot of things are going to happen, right? They're going to mismanage it. Funding's going to dry up. All sorts of things are going to happen. Mills is going to die. There's going to become the Civil War is going to happen. And you're going to have this little thing right there, the 152 mark, the darker grayish almost stone there. It's just going to remain like a little stump for decades right here, right? And then there's going to be like an unregulated slaughterhouse around it with pigs roaming, pig feces all over the place. Not a very dignified existence for what should have been a very dignified grounds. It didn't work out for a long, long time, right? But what's going to happen is eventually, time's going to continue, and you're going to have the American Centennial approaching of 1876, and Congress is like, we've got to get this stump right about here, that stump. We've got to get that stump going, right? Get the pigs out of here, the slaughterhouse out of here, and let's build this thing up, right? So Congress is going to give $2 million to finish the obelisk. Mills is dead, right? So what are we going to do? Well, there's an Army Corps engineer. His name's Thomas Lincoln Casey, right? And he's always going to say, during all the confusion and all the chaos that's going on, that all he did was just execute the plan, right? He had no part of doing nothing. He wasn't involved in anything. He just did his job. He just executed the plan and built this thing up. And if you look up there at the very top, there's a tiny little pyramid up there that was made of aluminum, which was like a super expensive material back in the day. So that's the very they didn't get like the little, the big pyramid down the bottom. They get the little pyramid up top there of aluminum. Very, very expensive stuff, all right? So in 1884, this obelisk was actually the tallest building in the world. It's only going to stay that way for about 5 years, right? Until the Eiffel Tower opens in 1889, becomes the tallest building in the world. But this obelisk right here is the tallest obelisk in the world and the tallest building in Washington, D.C. Nobody's allowed to be taller than Washington, D.C. Kind of reminds me of if you go to the National Constitution Center and you go into Signers Hall of all those brown statues, Gouverneur Morris was actually a little bit taller than General Washington. President Washington. But in the statues, Gouverneur Morris from Pennsylvania is kind of like hunching down a little bit. He's hunching down a little bit to allow Washington to be the tallest in the room, right? Washington was tall, but he was the second tallest in that room. But when Gouverneur Morris hunched down, it made Washington the tallest in that room, out of respect for him. And here it is, the Washington Monument. It's the tallest thing in Washington, D.C., or the District of Columbia, out of respect to Washington, right? And today, again, this, the Washington Monument, it becomes an iconic symbol of American identity. It's so famous today, right? Now, you don't have to walk up. It's a lot of stairs, right? The Washington Monument, it does have an elevator inside, which will bring you up to the observation deck there, observation tower. So there is an elevator, and there's also 200 commemorative stones inside there. Now, I'm from Connecticut, so the Connecticut stone is the 70-foot level, probably about halfway through that bottom part of remember, that's 152 feet, right? The bottom part, the stump that was there for decades. So the Connecticut's commemorative stone is at the 70-foot level. So that's where Connecticut is. Now, this thing's been through a lot, obviously, right? It took a long time to make it. But 2011, there's an earthquake, closes it for a bunch of years. There's just obstacle after obstacle to get this obelisk built and keep it built. Whatnot. Preservation's hard work. Yeah, building is hard work. But think about, we're hoping, hundreds and hundreds of years of preservation. It's hard work, so it gets costly. But you got to do it. You got to do it because this is the Washington Monument, right? Absolutely. So this thing took 36 years to complete, because you were wondering. And there's 897 steps inside for you to walk up to the top if you want. But I'd say, you know what, unless you're a super athlete, maybe, but everybody else, you might want to just take the elevator going up there, right? Now, when I do the Travel in Time with Dan show, that I mix travel with history, with leadership, you've got to come down here and see the Washington Monument. It's just so cool. The National Mall, so cool. DC, very, very cool. Got to come down and check this out. I've already given you a little bit of the history of it, but so you definitely need some leadership now. What's the leadership? Well, this is the leadership. Great achievements often require persistence over generations. This certainly did, right? Great monuments are built, not only with stone, but with perseverance as well. Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you for spending some time with me today on the Travel in Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history and leadership. We'll be back real soon with another great episode. You take care, and I'll see you then.